Imagine the king of the oceans, the shaker of the earth, standing in the blistering heat of a construction site, hauling limestone blocks like a common slave. This isn't a metaphor. This is the greatest humiliation in the history of the gods. Before the wooden horse, before the 10-year siege, and before Hector or Achilles were even born, the walls of Troy were built by divine hands, but not out of love. They were built out of punishment. Poseidon, a deity who could level mountains with a flick of his wrist, was stripped of his divinity and forced into a year of hard labor.
Unveil the legends.
Why would the most feared god on Mount Olympus submit to the orders of a mortal king? The mystery of Troy's impenetrable walls isn't about engineering. It's about a failed celestial coup and a debt of blood that would eventually burn an entire civilization to the ground. Today, we're looking at the summer Poseidon became a bricklayer, and the catastrophic grudge that was born when a mortal king tried to cheat a god out of his wages. This is the secret foundation of the Trojan War, a wall built by a god and a city doomed by its own creator. The story begins with a rebellion in the clouds. Poseidon, Hera, and Athena had grown tired of Zeus's arrogance. They managed to bind the king of the gods in silver chains, intending to replace his lightning with their own collective rule. But the coup failed. When Zeus was freed, his vengeance was surgical. He didn't just throw them in Tartarus. He humiliated them. He stripped Poseidon and Apollo of their divine auras and exiled them to the mortal realm. They were turned into theophanies, gods in human skin forced to wander the earth as vagabonds. They arrived at the gates of Troy, a city that was then little more than a collection of huts on a hill. The king of Troy, Laomedon, saw two powerful, broad-shouldered strangers and saw an opportunity. He didn't know he was looking at the lords of the sea and the sun. He saw cheap labor. He offered them a contract. Build a wall around my city that no army can ever breach, and I will pay you a fortune in gold and livestock. Poseidon, trapped in his mortal form but retaining his superhuman strength, took up the hammer. For 1 full year, the god of the sea didn't rule the waves. He ruled the quarry. There is something haunting about the image of Poseidon working in the dust. Every stone he laid was infused with the rhythm of the tide. The walls of Troy weren't just stone and mortar. They were divine masonry. Because a god built them, the walls possessed a supernatural resonance. They weren't just tall, they were alive. It is said that when Poseidon placed the final cornerstone, the earth itself groaned in recognition. He had created a masterpiece of defense, a shell that could withstand any ram and any catapult. But as the sun set on the final day of the contract, the mystery took a dark turn. King Laomedon, seeing the work was finished and realizing he now had the most protected city in the world, decided he didn't need to pay. He didn't just withhold the gold. He threatened to cut off the ears of the strangers and sell them into slavery if they didn't leave his sight. He stood on the very ramparts Poseidon had built and mocked the man who had laid them. He forgot the first rule of the ancient world. You can cheat a man, but you never, ever cheat the sea. The moment the year of exile ended, Poseidon's divinity rushed back into his veins like a tidal wave. He didn't just walk away. He stood on the shore and looked back at his creation. The walls he had built were perfect, but they were now a prison for a man who had insulted him. Poseidon's response was immediate and biological. He didn't attack the walls. He knew they were too strong even for him to easily break. Instead, he reached into the depths and birthed Ketia, a massive sea monster that rose from the surf to devour the Trojan people. This was the beginning of the Trojan curse. Poseidon spent decades trying to dismantle what his own hands had created. He sent floods, he sent monsters, and eventually he sent the Greeks. The irony of the Trojan War is that the Greeks couldn't break the walls because a god had built them. The only way to get inside was through a trick, the wooden horse. And who is the god of horses? Poseidon. He provided the very symbol that would finally bypass his own impenetrable masonry. He used his other creation to destroy his first creation. The mystery of the divine wall explains why Poseidon was the most bloodthirsty supporter of the Greeks during the war. While other gods wavered, Poseidon was unwavering. He wanted Troy leveled. He wanted the limestone he had carried to be ground into dust. Every time a Trojan fell, it was a payment on that unpaid debt from years ago. He watched from the waves as the city burned, and it is said that he personally shook the earth to ensure that not a single stone he had laid remained standing on another. But there is a lingering question. Did Poseidon leave a flaw in the wall on purpose? Some myths say that because a mortal man, Aeacus, helped them for a brief moment, one section of the wall was vulnerable. Others suggest that Poseidon built the walls so well that they became a trap for the Trojans, giving them a false sense of security that led to their ultimate downfall. He gave them exactly what they asked for, knowing that their pride would be the thing that actually killed them. Today, the ruins of Troy are a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a pile of weathered stones on the Turkish coast. When you look at the massive fortifications that still remain, you are looking at the fingerprints of a god who was once a slave. You are looking at the result of a divine labor strike that turned into a world-ending war. The walls of Troy serve as a permanent reminder of Poseidon's work ethic and his price. He is a god who demands his due. Whether it's a sacrifice at sea or a paycheck in a construction yard, the city of Troy fell not because of a horse, but because a king thought he was bigger than the ocean. And as the waves continued to lap at the shores near the old city, you can almost hear the rhythmic thud of a hammer, a reminder that the things we build with the help of the gods always come with a cost we can't afford to pay.